The BZ-74-1 is a Tier 9 Chinese collector heavy, and it's legitimately one of the worst Tier 9s in the game. My average win rate in this vehicle is 57%. My average damage is fine at 3066, but like, why would you ever drive this vehicle when the Tech Tree 50 TP exists, which has more armor, has similar DPM, and just about every advantage, and by the way, I'm going 84% in with more average damage. So, if you compare the two tanks, the BZ-74-1 is worse in every single way. But if you're a player that's wanting to get better at Blitz, believe it or not, the worse the tank is, the better you will improve. What do I mean? Well, let me explain, right? Let's say you drive the Smasher. You have a Smasher, you have an Annihilator on your account. Well, the average Smasher or Annihilator player, believe it or not, has over 1,000 battles in the tank. Yeah, that's right. Any of you cringers that have the Smasher or Annihilator have played it on average over 1,000 battles each. And what that means is you have spent 1,000 to 2,000 battles at the minimum playing a vehicle which lowers your skill level. How does playing an overpowered tank lower your skill? Well, I think it should be fairly obvious. You're driving a tank which requires less effort to do well in, meaning you are no longer challenging yourself or giving yourself the required field to learn how to get better. When I'm in a BZ-74-1, I actually have to look at the enemy lineup. I actually have to pay attention to what's going on, because if I make misplays, it will actually cause me to die and possibly lose the game. Versus if I drive, a Object 752, I can literally do whatever the hell I want and probably win anyway. And it's such a good contrasting example of how one tank does not require any effort whatsoever, and another tank requires a lot of effort to get maybe the same result. But the difference is that when you play a tank that is challenging to do well in, when you play a tank that requires effort, you are legitimately going to become a lot better at the game. Because if you start doing well in a tank like this, then that means you'll do really well in a tank that's actually good at the game. Believe it or not, that is one of the major ways that I became good at playing Blitz. I remember back in the day, I literally wanted to die because I was grinding a bunch of stock vehicles. You have to remember, when I first played Blitz, there was no such thing as game modes. There wasn't even ratings. It was just pubs. That's all that existed. And what that meant is that you could not grind any other way up a line apart from actually playing in pubs. Nowadays, you can just play in a game mode. I mean, really, I don't want to hear anybody complaining about ever grinding a line or credits, because the fact that you can just play a premium in a game mode, earn 200,000 credits, and get 10,000, 15,000 XP in boss mode with a booster is absolutely wild. I was boss the other day in the Caro, earned over 400,000 credits, and not only that, but literally got myself an insane amount of XP. It was like 30,000. Point being, to get better at this game, you have to play tanks that are actually going to challenge you. If you constantly play vehicles that require no effort, then you're not going to be very good at Blitz. Also, gotta love that. Apparently the spot I shot at was completely non-existent and just disappeared. Gotta love my RNG. But, BZ-74-1, hella mid. I mean, there is very little going for this tank, to be honest. Its reverse speed is only 15 when it should be a lot faster. Its DPM is not very good. Its accuracy is not very good. It's just mid. Like, there's not much that I can actually say I legitimately like about this tank. But I played it for about 5 games today, and actually had a pretty fun experience. I not only averaged around 3,600 damage in the 5 games, but I was only losing one of them, which actually puts me in a pretty solid situation. And even this game here, you can see how passive I'm playing. We have the enemy Carnarvon Defender, we have the enemy VK-45. I've got 1,100 health right now, and we have the enemy 7.52. The 7.52 is in a really awkward spot, though, because, well, I'm trying to think of what I want to do. I don't want to have my IS-8 die, but I also don't want to bleed, all of my health to a 7.52. So I'm going to instead bleed all of my health to a VK-45. But we still got a pen into his vehicle for 430. I'm up to 3,700 damage at this point in this game. And, like, again, if I was in a 50 TP, I probably could have done a lot more with the tungsten, with the more armor that it has, the fact that it reverses at 19 kilometers per hour. But doesn't mean I'm doing bad here. I've already dealt 4,200 at this point, and the enemy VK-45-02A is going to die. I make a misplay here, and the misplay is one that I really couldn't have accounted for until it happened. I was looking for the Carnarvon Defender, and, not much is spotted yet, not much is spotted, and then I'm going to poke up a little bit more again, and, oh, well, nothing I can do about that, right? But we do end up winning this game, which is not too surprising, judging that we have a standard B who helped out our T95, and the enemy team did not play all too well. And in the post-game results, I was able to deal over 4,200 damage. And we can see how, even in a tank that's really bad, and most players probably would just never play, I'm still able to do well. And, I thought to myself, I said, okay, so how could I have improved upon this battle? How could I have played better? And there are definitely moments I could have done better. Now, obviously, I had no clue that the VK45 was there. I also had no clue that my HE was just going to flatness the side of the Carnarvon. So I guess that's something. But what I could have done better is I could have positioned my tank in a better spot when backing up. Instead of backing up into a position where the 7.52 could have shot me in the side, I could have moved more over towards the other side of the hill. Wait a sec, can't do that. There's a Contra Car 1 Mark II. Okay, so where I did play my tank was the best spot. But what I should have done is I should have stayed in cover, and I should have moved over towards the IS-8, where my standard B would have been able to cover me, could have cleared the 7.52, and then I could have dealt with the Contra Caro, I could have dealt with the VK and the Carnarvon Defender. Instead, what I did is I isolated myself without my team's support, and then, sure, the enemy did get bled for pushing me, but it was already too late at that point. And that is obvious, very easy to showcase. But then there's also games where you really couldn't have done something, right? This game here on Yukon, I legitimately don't think there's much I could have done to change the outcome of this battle. And you're going to see that as we make our way through this game. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead, obviously, because the first moments of this game are never exciting. But I play passive in the beginning. I'm going to top tier matchup, tier 8s and tier 9s. And at the beginning, I'm just going to play passive. I'm going to see if the enemy team makes any over-aggressions. There you go. Skoda T56 does exactly that, and I get a nice shell. This stock Destiny, by the way, 100% why we lost. It's very funny to me that Wargaming released the Destiny to every single player in Blitz. So we have the Skoda T56, we have the Object 752, and we are going to make our way up here. Okay. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. KV4 is moving up. And I'm going to move up myself. Here we go. Easy shot. Bonk. Thank you for the 478 health. And now the KV4 is going to get some bleeds out. At this point, we can see I am pushing, I'm playing aggressive, I'm doing everything I can in my power to help my team win. We've done 900 damage, and now I'm going to move up and try and get some damage into the enemy 752. I would assume that this player's not looking at me, and they are, but I'm just going to push off to the side and aim it on the flat. Okay. Gotta love the accuracy, right? And the 7.52 goes right through my turret without even a second of hesitation. Now, I have two heavies behind me. I also have a BZ-176 all the way on the other side. So what am I going to do right now? Well, I'm going to aim it on the 7.52, get a nice shot, and try and back up. But once again, the armor on this tank just being utterly useless. I'm also in a situation, though, where I've got a Ferdinand on me. So I'm going to wait for the 7.52 to shoot. Now I'm going to push up, and I'm going to aim in a shell on the lower plate. And we're going to push to the rear of the 7.52. And obviously this player's going to tunnel me over the frickin' stock Destiny. But what I was hoping is that if I put this tank here, our Destiny's going to pen him. But no, Destiny bounces off the flat side of its turret instead of shooting it in the side. So because of that, I am now in a really, really annoying situation. Now, I do get a bounce from the 7.52, which is obviously nice, but second shell cuts right through my upper plate. Okay, well, I'm going to aim it on his vehicle. There you go, nice 548. And now, at this point, again, team's not doing very well. We got the Ferdinand. I'm hoping that I can get a bounce. Ferdinand just YOLOs around the corner, bounces the shell right into my turret, pens. As we can see, this game, unfortunately, it just doesn't matter really what I do. My team big suck. And I'm trying my best here. I have done 3,200 damage at this point. I've played my tank properly. I've tried to hide it, but unfortunately I got YOLO'd by a 7.52. And for some reason, not only does that tank get flat better DPM than me, but it also has an autoloader, which I really can't counter. And it's just bullcrap that that tank gets to exist the way it does. But at this point, I got a T-54 in front of me. So we're going to aim it on the T-54 and get a nice shot. I'm going to try and angle the tank, but of course, it's going to be pretty meaningless. And then we got the 122 TM who's still full health as well. And it's just me and a BZ. And with the Destiny rolling behind me, there's really nothing I can do about that. So I get a nice shell into the 54. And I die. I deal 4,580 damage, and my full health BZ-176 is another reason. If my BZ and Destiny didn't suck, this would have been the easiest win ever, but that's how teams are, right? At the end of the day, this game, I don't really think I could have played much better. I mean, sure, if you went all the way back to the beginning, there's probably plays I could have made, but you can't decide what's the best play at the beginning of a battle. You have to see what happens and the turn of events that go on through it. And from where I positioned my tank and the plays I made, I really can't say I made a single misplay. Unfortunately, I had a stock Destiny who has 75 games and did a whopping 261 damage. And that is the major problem with sometimes the games you play. Now, if I was driving a 7.52, if I was driving a 50 TP, if I was in a Type 68, guaranteed this would have been a win. I would have gotten bounces, I would have done more damage with the increased DPM, and it would have been a very easy win. But this shows you that it's much harder to win in vehicles like this, and it's why I like to challenge myself and improve upon my own skills. So if you have any takes that you absolutely hate, that you suck in, instead of blaming the vehicle, instead of blaming the teams, play it again and again and again until you can improve upon yourself to a point where you are actually able to say, hey, you know what, I've improved as a player. And then when you play vehicles that are actually really good, you're going to be like, oh my god, this is the easiest farm I've ever had in my life. And that is the advice that I have for you. You can let me know what you feel in the comments down below. But at the end of the day, hopefully you enjoyed the video. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.